So I watched this local movie called The Day After Valentine's as I was typically going through my day, writing the next chapters of my novel. It's a Filipino movie starring Bella Padilla and JC Santos, and for some of those listening, you may not be very familiar of them, but yes, you can Google them. When I watch movies, though, it's never about the stars who play the characters, rather about the story itself. How well the actors play their part is just an added bonus for me. I'm a sucker for the good old romantic movies, and every time I hear or see trailers of new ones, be it local or international, I always make it a point to watch them. The purpose being is double-edged. I get to study the films and learn new things that I could use to also help me build up the plots and characters of my own work. So this movie, The Day After Valentine's, if I may say, is so messed up. It has problems all over it. I don't mean on the cinematography level or playwriting. It wasn't perfect, but it was great. So the story revolves around Lani and Kai. Kai, at the beginning of this story, is going through a tough phase after a breakup that he inflicts pain on himself whenever he can't handle it anymore. He meets Lani, who is a store attendant while trying to find an arm sleeves that he could use to cover the cuts in his arms. They met on a night that turned the entire story around and began establishing one of the most heartbreaking stories possibly made. And to add a disclaimer, this is not a love story. Lani, in her suck-up looks, teaches Kai how to move on from his ex and forget ever having to hurt himself again while figuring out the entire art of bye-bying, an alpha celebrity belonging to the family of Bramix Crips. That part did not really have a deep relevance except that Kai's ex was a fan of the same script as well as Lani. So Lani, in her best intention, uses that to help him move on, constantly emphasizing words that are relevant to his healing process. There's a lot of trauma involved, including family relationships that were partly broken because of how Kai chooses love over his family. At this point, the storytelling focuses on Kai's traumas, his challenges in moving on, and his healing process. Lani manages to help him move on and even accompanied him to Hawaii, where Kai is originally from. Once in Hawaii, he concluded that he is finally healed, throws up some flirty moves to Lani that they even ended up kissing each other on her last night in Hawaii. A kiss that didn't go any further since Lani hesitates to expose her skin as Kai attempts to get even more intimate with her. To understand why, one of the scenes in the movie shows Kai inviting Lani to take a dip in the fresh cold water. Lani hesitates but attempts to indulge, but as she takes off a part of her dress, that's when you get a glimpse of the multiple scars she has on her back. As it turns out, Lani was a victim of abuse from her very own father when she was still young, and the scars he left have run really deep, physically, emotionally, and most of all, mentally. It's a great showcase of the movie's irony. The irony of how someone who has their own monsters to deal with is helping someone going through pain himself. To cut the story short, Kai has healed and stayed in Hawaii with his family, promising that he will come back for her. Lani at this point has slowly opened up herself, constantly peeling her layers one by one to him. This was after Kai said that he'd like for her to be true to herself and to tell him whatever she has to share with him. So now, the story has flipped. The remaining part of the movie now showcases Lani's scars, and I tell you, it is deep and really messed up. Kai realizes that he doesn't like how Lani talks about her family and all her past scars. In the words of Lani, it wasn't fair. She takes pride in helping Kai fix himself and that he belongs to her. It wasn't a very ideal ending, of course. Typically, when we watch this kind of films, we hope for love to succeed. But then again, this is not a love story. The ending at some point will satisfy you as Sky teaches Lani of the same thing she taught him on forgetting someone. This time, though, she has to forget him. Well, this is not a review. Like every aspect of things I'd like to share, I had my own takeaways with this film. First of all, healing is a hard choice. It will be messy, it will be difficult, and most of all, it will be tedious. All of us go through the process of healing every now and then. It's not a process exclusive to just the romantic relationships, but in all aspects of our life. When we go through it, let's normalize finding the best emotional support we can find. It could be our oldest friends, our most genuine relatives, anyone that we could possibly rely on in sharing our thoughts. Sometimes, the confidant comes in the most unexpected connections, but what matters most is your choice to heal. Not for others, but for yourself. Second, when emotional support is too hard to find, stay away from the environment that has brought you the pain. This may or may not work for everyone, but like Lani, who after having all the scars she had, chose to stay away from the family that never defended her from her father's abuse. We have to be our own hero. Never hesitate to get away from the things that are causing us trauma. Respect the life that we've been given to live, and be someone who will set yourself free from all the pain that you are going through. It is never wrong to think about yourself, so walk away as far as you can from the things that you know are no longer good for you. I know this sounds so easy to say, and we all have our own personal traumas and dilemmas. But then again, you cannot heal in the same environment where you got sick. So learn to step away. Trust me, it is always one of the choices. Third, not admitting that you are not okay is natural, but please know that the longer we keep the pain inside, it will soon come haunting us. When the pain is too much and we've been through a lot, we tend to put on a mask, a show to all the people who knows us for being strong individuals. And that is okay. It's part of the journey. As what Lani said in the movie, nobody who is not okay will admit that they are not okay. And that will always be acceptable. What is unacceptable would be staying in that place. You have to get out of it. A friend of mine once told me that mourning in the pain is okay, but you'll have to find a way to get out of the entire premise. Pack a bag, take a walk, talk to someone even if the conversation is never about the pain that you're going through. Immerse yourself with things that could make you feel alive all over again. We are gifted with the capability to be resilient in times of struggles, and that is one thing that we'll have to be thankful for. We're built to ruin boulders of challenges. We just sometimes do not realize it. So get back up always. No matter how often we get tested by fate or by time, when we trust ourselves fully, we will always be able to stand strong enough till the boulders will turn into pebbles. Fourth, do not expect anything in return from people. Like how Lani presumed that after fixing Kai, he would soon be her lover or would soon build a romantic relationship with her. Let's stop this. Like what I said, we all have our traumas. We can lend a helping hand to people who are going through something, but do not expect for them to give you anything in return. Be it a romantic affiliation, loyalty, or special favors. Let's be kind to each other. Helping should be all about expecting nothing in return. Keep in mind that what you have done for them may work very well for them, but sometimes it may not work the same way for us. That's how complicated healing is. Be proud that you managed to help someone regardless of your own trauma. Perhaps it's part of your own process, being strong enough to be able to hold your own fort while someone else is relying on you for support. Be happy to be a part of someone's healing, but never think that they will reciprocate what you have done for them. It doesn't always work that way. We meet people in our lives that are meant to be wonderful lessons we'll have to learn. That's how we should think of them, not as future lovers, worst, someone that we own just because we've helped them get through the worst part of their lives. Please don't. Fifth, becoming our own heroes also means loving ourselves. This is a worn out statement, I know, but we really fail to understand it completely, that often we find ourselves thinking, how do we do that? How do we learn to love ourselves again? Well, remember when we were kids, when we don't have to deal with being an adult, we take pride of the things that we love doing. We figure out whether we love to dance or we love to sing. We love learning new things, going to imaginary adventures, and finding ourselves so spent at the end of the day, totally happy of how our day went. We didn't realize it way back, but that was the time when we truly love ourselves. For there's no one else we need to include with that feeling except our family and ourselves. Let's begin again that way. Restart your inner thoughts and start thinking like a kid. Learn new things, seek new adventures, find new things to be passionate about. Change the formula. You don't change yourself, you simply have to change the formula. Take note of old traumas and try to avoid situations that led you to those moments. Loving ourselves at this age will sometimes require more effort than the usual, and that's natural. For we are people who are growing, and part of that growth is the constant need to expand our perspective. Lastly, and I'd like to quote a line from a song, you never really love someone until you learn to forgive. Yes, forgiveness. It's the most underrated word in the whole process of healing. Learn to forgive or always be open to the idea of forgiveness. Again, healing is a long and tedious process. Like Lani, who found it so hard to forgive her parents and her family in general for all the scars she's living with, she finally opened herself up to the idea of forgiveness at the end of the movie. Forgiveness will always be a part of the entire premise. The healing, the loving yourself concept. Forgiveness will always take in a number on the step-by-step process. Free yourself from all the worries. You don't have to literally say, I forgive you or I forgive them. You can also keep it in your thoughts. You don't have to explicitly show people the act. You simply have to try and not hold it against people. Think differently, no matter how painful it will get. At the end of the day, forgive yourself. Forgive people who may have contributed to the pain. For you will never be able to learn to love anyone, even yourself, if you don't bestow forgiveness. And contrary to usual beliefs, forgiveness will not always be the beginning. There's no typical step-by-step process in all of this. You have to take your time, empty your cup when you finally decide to heal yourself. And yes, it will be hard. For nothing in this world that's worth having is easy. It will always be hard, difficult, or challenging. You can use all the possible adjectives, but never the word easy, because it isn't. So, to wrap this up, I binge watched too many films that day, but this one really stood out. I can't help but think of my own traumas, of my own scars, and up until now, I am continuously going through the healing process. I am not okay. There, I said it. It's still hard to say, but at least I get to verbalize it now. When you come to think of it, I can keep telling you of all the takeaways I have about things that I am doing every day, but the whole thought of even learning something out of the simple things have always been hard for me. It's a constant struggle, but people as we are, we have to keep trying. For eventually, we'll need to take risks over and over again. We have to live for the moment and enjoy life as it was given.